Back again this week with the UFC, Derek Lewis versus Teixeira. Week off last week, and we're coming back this week with a fight night. I'm going to scroll down, get started on the card, give you my picks, and then have a look at what bet I'm putting on later on. So, first fight, we've got a women's fight. It's Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez. Not putting this one on. The bet, 1 to 12, Fatima Klein is massive favourite. No one in the right mind should be putting that on. If you're going to put anything on, you should put an underdog on these women's fights, because a lot of the time the underdogs win, and even if they don't, it's a closer fight than you think. I don't. Maybe there's money to be made in betting these underdogs in women's MMA. I feel like I might have I'll keep an eye on that and see what the returns might be, but definitely not even looking into it. Second fight, we got Mike Davis versus Mitch Ramirez. Both coming off losses. A decision loss for Mike Davis against Ferguson in his last fight, and Mitch Ramirez, he got finished by KO to Thiago Moises in his last fight in his UFC debut. I'm assuming it was probably a late notice step up. I like Mike Davis. I was thinking he's beat some good guys, but then when you look back at some of his wins now, they don't look as good anymore. Like Natan Levy, he's not in the UFC anymore. Then you got Borshev, who's not been doing great recently. And then Mason Jones, that's a good win. Mason Jones is back in the UFC with a win over Jeremy Stevens. But yeah, I do like what I see of Mike Davis though. I think he is a decent fighter. I'm not seeing much of Mitch Ramirez, but I like Mike Davis in this one just from what I've seen of him before. I think he's a talented fighter. How old is he now? He's only 32, both 32. Yeah, he's a bit taller. I like what I've seen of Mike Davis. Massive favourite though, minus 900. So it's probably going to be worth just leaving it off. To be honest, no point putting it on. Next fight, we've got Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Walter Walker. I've not been so impressed with what I've seen from Walter Walker, but Kennedy's doing really good, isn't he? Since he's stepped up to heavyweight, coming off a win his last fight over Lucas Bresky. And then a win before that against Chris Bennett. I almost said Charles Bennett. And he'd be like, yeah, Charles Bennett heavyweight, like £300. Walter Walker's coming off a win over Dontel Mays by submission. I think it was a heel up, wasn't it? Yeah. And then a win over Junior Taffa before that, who's dropping down, isn't he? And then lost to Lucas Bresky, who Nzechukwu beat. So, not been that impressed by Walter Walker, and I think Kennedy's probably the more athletic guy. Got the speed advantage, you'd say, and yeah, coming up from a low weight division, he seems to be doing alright heavyweight, so I'd pick Kennedy and Nzechukwu in that fight. Next fight, Laura Murphy versus Eduardo Mora. Let's have a look at the odds. Yeah, so big favourite again, so if you're going to even have a look at betting on it, maybe you just go with the underdog on it. I'm not even bothering with it. Been stung. I'm not a sexist. I've just been stung too many times betting women's MMA, so I'm done with it. Next fight, you've got Jake Matthews versus Chidi Njokwani. Jake Matthews, he's won his last two fights against Francisco Prado, and people had Prado winning that fight, I think. And then before that against Phil Rowe, he got a good finish against Angelusa in his last fight. It was a comeback victory though. A loss before that to Michael Morales, who's doing good. And a win over Darius Flowers before that. Chidi Njokwani's coming off a few wins himself. Reece McKee, Reece McKee's decent. Jared Gooden and Elzeo Zaleski. Tricky fight, isn't it? He's been chinned before as well, Chidi Njokwani, but I don't think Jake Matthews has got the power to be putting people out. But it's a pretty close fight, this, isn't it? It's hard to pick it, and the odds reflect that. Very close. I'll probably leave it off the bet because it's a bit of a riskier one. If I had to pick anyone, I'd say maybe Jake Matthews is a little bit more well-rounded, but he's been tagged before himself, and I think Chidi Njokwani could hurt him on the feet. So maybe you go Chidi Njokwani on that one. Let's see who Topology's picking. Yeah, Topology's going Njokwani as well. I'll probably lean there slightly. Next fight, you've got Chris Curtis versus Max Griffin. It's mad. You seen that thing what happened with Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland the other week in the cage attacking that guy, but nothing. You not heard anything of that, have we, since? So I'm surprised that we've not heard anything about that. Like any like repercussions. Maybe they're just letting the Athletic Commission deal with it or something. But anyway, Chris Curtis versus Max Griffin. Both been around a long time, haven't they? Mixed records, similar records. 10 more wins for Chris Curtis though. He's coming off a couple of losses, but that's at middleweight, and I believe this fight's going to be at welterweight. So he's coming back down in weight against Max Griffin. And Max Griffin, he's not a world beater, is he? Lost his last fight to Chiesa, and Chiesa's old now, man. Split decision win before that. You can't write him off for that Michael Morales loss because he's beating everybody, isn't he? And a win over Tim Means and a loss to Neil Magny before that. I think Chris Curtis should get it done here. Battle of the old guard, 37 versus 39, but Chris Curtis I would lean with on this fight. Next one, Junior Tafa versus Tuko Tukos. Coming down from a heavyweight, Junior Tafa. It'd be interesting to see how he looks. Not necessarily always the best thing, because you'd say the light heavyweights are slightly more technical than the heavyweights in most cases. Anyway, obviously not all cases, but generally there's going to be more technique at light heavyweight than there is at heavyweight. So he might just run into more technically gifted fighters, because he seems just like a bit like his brother, doesn't he? And all the kind of heavyweights from that kind of region where they're just like the Dan Hooker fight thing. They're just brawlers, aren't they? They're just like good boxers who like a tear up. But Tuko Tukos, he's got a bit of grappling. Maybe he can get Junior Tafa down, and he'll probably have like speed advantage, and Junior Tafa might not be used to the kind of it's not going to be a massive speed difference, but definitely going to be a little bit faster, I would say, than the other heavyweights who he's been fighting. And I think he's not too big a favourite, Junior Tafa, but I like Tuko Tukos as an underdog here. He's lost his last two, but against really good guys. Navajo Sterling's looking good. Only a decision there, and he's a good striker. And then Omar Sy, who's pretty decent as well. And he's got a few wins. I've seen him, he can get people down, he can wrestle them. So maybe he gets Junior Tafa down. And yeah, you see Volta Walker subbed Junior Tafa with a heel hook. I feel like Tuko Tukos might be able to get this one down and get a sub, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'll lean with him on this fight. So next one, you've got Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. Roles reversed here. I think Vitor Petrino's coming up to heavyweight from light heavyweight against Austin Lane. Austin Lane, nothing special. He's not that good, is he? And I think Vitor Petrino, he looks alright. He's coming off two losses, a KO loss and then a sub loss to Anthony Smith, though, innit, man? He got subbed off Anthony. It is a guillotine choke, though. Like, it's like the equalising submission, innit? Like, anyone can get guillotined if they're sloppy. I can't remember how that fight went, but he's got a couple of good wins before that over Tyson Pedro and Bukowskis. And I just feel like he should be able to put Austin Lane out, shouldn't he? Austin Lane got put out bad in his last fight against that Mario Pinto. He beat this spine, but he's got no grappling whatsoever, has he? And then, yeah, a couple of losses before that. He even got put out by Denise and Tafa. So I feel like Vitor Petrino should get that done. He's a massive favourite, though, so you might not even put it on. Next fight. Good fight, this. Nate Landwehr versus Morgan Charrier. I like both these guys, especially Nate Landwehr. He's entertaining, isn't he? Especially when he gets on the mic and he starts coming out with them like WWE wrestling promos and stuff. It's entertaining to watch. It's funny. Morgan Charrier, big following himself as well. Decent fighter. Didn't look good against Nathaniel Wood, though. I thought that fight was going to be a lot closer than it was. I think I might have even picked Morgan Charrier to beat Nathaniel Wood. Nathaniel Wood did look good, but I was surprised with Morgan Charrier because, I don't know, he just didn't get going at all in that fight. I think Nathaniel Wood just dominated him pretty much, didn't he? He has got power, Morgan Charrier, though, and Nate Landwehr can get cracked because he's just a come forward guy and he's going to be there to be hit. And in his last fight, if I remember rightly, he got finished by Choi, and he didn't look to get his wrestling going, or even if he did, he weren't successful with it. And I just feel like Morgan Charrier could catch Nate Landwehr. It's an interesting fight. I kind of want Landwehr to win because I do like him, but I think Morgan Charrier will probably catch him. Yeah, and I can't see Landwehr catching Charrier, to be honest. I think he's although he did get dropped against Nathaniel Wood. But I think Nathaniel Wood's really fast and he looks sharp in that fight. His stand-up looked the best I've seen it. But yeah, I think Morgan Charrier should get the win here, but I do like Nate Landwehr. Next fight, Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. Calvin Kattar is the underdog here. He's coming off 4 losses, but against the top of the division. Yusuf Zalal, Sterling, Arnold Allen and Josh Emmett. All 4 guys at the top of the division. And he's coming up against Steve Garcia, who's going to take a massive step up in competition here. He has had some good wins though. Beat Melquizael Costa, who's doing alright at the minute, isn't he? And Chase Hooper, finished Chase Hooper by KO. He has been knocked out before though, I believe. Was it his UFC debut maybe? Well, his third UFC fight, he got knocked out by Meshatet. I don't even know that guy. And he's lost before against Luis Pena as well, but this was a long time ago. This is 5 years ago, isn't it? And then 3 years ago. He's obviously come on leaps and bounds since then. But Calvin Kattar is the top echelon of the division, so it's a big step up in competition for him, but is he the same guy anymore? He's 37 now. He didn't look... It's not like he's been outclassed in these fights, but I don't know. They take a bit out of you, don't they? It's hard to pick this one, I think. I think obviously, if you go with momentum, you go with Garcia, but can Calvin Kattar show a bit of what he used to have in him and what got him up to the top of the division? We'll see. I'll probably lean Steve Garcia, but I probably won't put it on. Next fight, you got Stephen Thompson versus Gabriel Bonfim. Stephen Thompson, 42 now, up against a 27-year-old Gabriel Bonfim. He's decent, Thompson. His last fight was against Joaquin Buckley, wasn't it? And he lost that by KO. And then Shavkat Rakhmonov before that. And then a win over Kevin Holland before that a couple of years ago. He's a massive underdog, Stephen Thompson. He's coming up against Bonfim, who just got a win over Chaos Williams, and before that, Ange Lusa. I mean, 2 wins, ain't all that, and a loss to Nicholas Dalby, who got finished in his last fight, and that was a KO loss. So it's a big step up in competition for Bonfim, but he's 27, isn't he? It's a close fight though. I'd say it's closer than plus 300. So if you wanted to have a little bet on this one, maybe you go Thompson as the underdog. I wouldn't be putting Bonfim on as a massive favourite. No way. I mean, he's 27. He's got the youth, but Stephen Wonderboy Thompson might just be able to pull something out, or maybe Bonfim gets him. Maybe a submission or something. I don't know. Tricky one to predict that. If I had to pick, maybe I'd start with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson just for the experience advantage, but he's 42, man. But I'll just say Thompson anyway. I won't be putting that on. Next fight, Derek Lewis versus Teixeira Teixeira. Derek Lewis, 40 now himself, up against 25-year-old Teixeira Teixeira. It looked good, didn't it, in his last fight against Junior Taffa. That was in his debut. I think I picked Taffa in that one as well to maybe catch him, because I was watching some of his fights leading up to that Taffa fight, and I'd seen he'd been cracked a few times, Teixeira Teixeira, and I thought maybe Justin Taffa could catch him with an overhand right or something and put him out, but he made quick work of Justin Taffa and he looked alright. Can he do that against Derek Lewis? Which Derek Lewis is going to show up though? Is it going to be the Derek Lewis shows up and he can't be arsed, or is it going to be the Derek Lewis who shows up and he's on fire? I think it kind of... He has pulled late wins out before by KO, but a lot of it comes down to like how the fight's going early maybe these days for Derek Lewis. So if Teixeira Teixeira's coming out and he's winning early, maybe Derek Lewis lose his heart a little bit, and he'll start doing that slow thing where then he's just looking for that one big shot. So that's it, innit? I think Teixeira wins the fight unless he gets caught with that one big shot. So that's the gambles. I won't like picking this one. Just minus 260 favourite Teixeira. Won't be putting him on for that because he's always at risk of getting caught. But I mean, I think he should win. Let's have a little look, see what the odds are saying now, see if there's any bets worth putting on. So it's not in order, but I'm just going to go down it from the top. So Chris Curtis, I think we'll pick him. We're going to put Chris Curtis on to beat Griffin. So look at that women's fight, no chance. If you putting anything on, I might put a single on Melissa Martinez because no women's fight should be that wide in odds ever, especially not when it's like 8-1 record versus 7-1 record. I mean, that Fatima Klein got beat by that Jasmine Judy Vicious. I mean, she's doing alright, but she's no world beater. Ridiculous. Anyway, Jake Matthews versus Chidi Njokuani. We said Njokuani maybe, but it's going to be a close fight, that one, so it's going to be hard to tell. Nzeku Chukwu to beat Walker. Imagine if Walker pulls out like the third heel victory in a row. That would be something crazy, wouldn't it? But we're going to go with Nzeku Chukwu. Hard to pronounce that name. Next fight, Lauren Murphy versus Edward. I'm not putting that on. Mike Davis, we would have him, but he's 1-10 favourite. Can't put that on. It's not looking good here, you know, because we might just end up with a treble today. Stephen Thompson, you could have a look at putting that bet on as well. 3-1, that'll boost your odds. Calvin Kattar versus... He's not even the underdog on here. He's evens on this book. I'm sure he was the underdog on some others earlier in the week. So maybe there's some money coming in for Calvin Kattar or Kattar, however you want to pronounce it. Next fight, Junior Taffa versus Tuko Tukos. So we're getting an underdog on Tuko Tukos on that one. So that's one I will put on because I feel like he could get his grappling going in that fight. And then Nate Landwehr versus Morgan Charrier. I mean, we might have to put it on because we don't want to be winning 46 quid. That's a decent treble though. Curtis and Nzechukwu and Tukos. Or we could put Charrier on that and get 64 quid back. So it doesn't really change it that much. Maybe we'll just leave it as a treble this week. I think this is going to be the first week where we've not got like a big accumulator on. So we'll just go with a treble then. That's what we'll put on. And then maybe a few separate single bets like Stephen Thompson and where's that girl fight again? Melissa Martinez maybe. Maybe we'll have a look at putting some singles on them. Cage Warriors is on this weekend as well. Better card than this UFC, so I'll be doing a video on that once the odds come out. So keep like and subscribe and come back if you want to see my Cage Warriors picks.